Hi, I'm Alois Rosario from PingSkills. In our lesson on the activation level, we talked to you about how your peak performance is affected by your activation level. And we talked about how in training, usually your activation level is a little bit low. Today, we're going to show you ways of increasing that activation level to get your training to be much more effective. Operating at your peak activation level will make your training more effective. How do we do it? Okay, here's some ideas. So firstly, make sure that you have a focus for your session. What sort of things can you have as your focus? You might be wanting to improve your forehand topspin in this session. So all of your drills are centered around improving your forehand topspin. As long as at the start of your session you have that in your mind, then all your drills now have a purpose. I'm trying to improve my forehand topspin. The second thing that we're going to think about with our training is to make sure that we have some challenging drills. So we're going to set ourselves some drills that will push our boundaries. For example, if you can do 1,000 forehands in a row, that's not going to be overly motivating to just go out there and play some forehands and try to get them on the table. We're going to start to make the drills more challenging by perhaps being a bit more random, varying the positioning of our forehands, varying the speed, trying to get something that's going to challenge our skill level. So don't make them boring by having it at a very comfortable level for yourself. So the second point is make the drills challenging. Okay, let's have a look at the third point. Now, you can have challenging drills, but if you're doing them every day, day in, day out, then again, your motivation and your activation level is going to start to drop off. So let's think about making sure that we vary the drills that we're doing each session. Again, this will keep us motivated, this will keep us activated, and this will keep that peak performance starting to rise. The fourth thing is that now we want to turn our drills into some games. So how are we going to make some games out of our drills? We talked about perhaps doing forehand to forehand and seeing how many forehands you can do with your partner, and we're going to challenge the table next door to see if we can do more than they can. That's a simple little game that you can play. You might also do some timed drills. So, for example, let's do 3 minutes of our footwork drill, and in that 3 minutes, we're going to see how many times we can complete the pattern in our drill. For example, if we're doing a forehand footwork drill, in our 3 minutes, we're going to see how many times we can do that forehand, and complete it in the 3 minutes. Again, you can set that as a target for yourself. So I'm going to try and do 50 patterns in that 3 minutes, or let's have a competition with the table next door and see how many they can do in the same 3 minutes. We're going to have a challenge and see who's the better at doing the drill. So the fourth point is to make some games out of your drills. And then the fifth point is, and this might sound a little bit strange, but don't be afraid to have a bet. Now, when we talk about having a bet, we're not talking about we're going to put $100 on the table and see who's going to win. You can do all sorts of little things and games and bets. So you might even have a token trophy that each session, the person that gets biggest score in a particular drill takes home the trophy. Or if Jeff and I are doing a drill and we're challenging each other, then it might be that if I do more of the drill, as I probably will, then Jeff has to buy me lunch, or he has to cook me lunch. So there's some ideas on ways that you can have bets or challenges, just so that you make sure that you're putting something on the line when you're doing these. Otherwise, again, you might not have that same motivation, and we want to get that activation level up as high as we can in our training session so that we are replicating our match situation. So our fifth point, put something on the line. So there we have 5 simple ideas for you that are going to make your training more effective and get your activation level closer to your match day activation level.